So I just opened up the room, and a lot of you are piling in. We have about 300 RSVPs for today, so we should get a pretty large number of people for the presentation. Just so some of you know, we had a presentation on teledentistry last week with one of the dental attorneys. We kind of talked about the legal side of teledentistry and the liability, potential liability issues. Dr. V joined us last week as part of that call. Great Q&A. Really interactive. I can see when he started to talk, the questions and answers started to really light up. He talked about a platform that he uses and how he's been utilizing teledentistry, not just in this COVID era, but before the COVID era and obviously beyond the COVID era. He has a great perspective. He does have a product, and although I've told people that we're not going to sell or promote anything, I am going to allow him to show his product and tell you about it. And then if you want to contact him afterwards, you can definitely look at that and see if it's something that works for you. Really quick, we're going to utilize the Q&A today. Everyone's microphones are muted. The Q&A icon is at the bottom. So if you have questions for Dr. V, go ahead and load those in there. He's going to try and answer as many of those as he possibly can towards the end of the call. There's also a chat box that you can bring up on your screen. If you have some trouble with the audio or there's something you want to say to us really quick, you can put it in the chat box. We can see that information, and I'll be monitoring that throughout the call. I'm pretty excited. Teledentistry, I think I've had my head in a hole in the ground on this, and I'm learning a lot of information just like you guys are as this comes out. And I'm even seeing on my Instagram, I saw one just yesterday of someone showing a mock exam of teledentistry, but utilizing another platform. I think they utilize Zoom for that. So Dr. V is going to cover that as well. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A. It looks like we have about 150 people in the room right now. And without further ado, I'm really excited. We've gotten to know Dr. V a little bit and talk with him. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to him and sit back and watch the presentation and enjoy it just like you guys. So without further ado, Dr. V, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Appreciate you inviting me back and giving me the opportunity to kind of share my insight and thoughts on teledentistry and how we've been using it for the last several years in our practices, and the product that we actually developed to help facilitate these interactions with patients and dentists. So with that being said, we have a prep course that we've kind of got set up for people who are unfamiliar with teledentistry, dentists who are unfamiliar with teledentistry and how it works, the various aspects of teledentistry. I mean, this is a new branch of dentistry. It's not something outside of dentistry. You have to be a licensed dentist, and that's probably the most important part of this for people to kind of understand and realize that this is not something alien to our field. This is an extension of our field into the virtual realm. So with that, this is who I am, graduate from Boston University. I am a practicing dentist here in Las Vegas. We have several practices. In 2016, we founded Teledentistry.com, and we've been using it in our practices. And we also were able to, well, I'll just give you a little bit about the company. We have two arms of the business. The first arm of the business is we actually contract with insurance companies as a value-added benefit. We currently service about 17 million patients directly. And then in turn, we refer them to dental practices for local care. We also have a practice software platform that we deploy so that dental practices can perform teledentistry for their own patients. And so we'll go into that today. And here we go. So what are we covering today? Regulations, how to evaluate a vendor. I mean, there's many vendors out there. Ours is one of them. We have a very long track record. And how you make money, by billing out for these codes, and how to then jumpstart your practice and get things rocking and rolling. All right. So the definition of teledentistry is remote monitoring of your patient using digital communications. The most important part of that is to remember it has to be interactive. Okay. There's a very big part of that. Let's get into the regulations. So here's where it gets kind of interesting, right? You don't realize as dentists just how many people regulate you. You have federal regulations, you have state regulations, you have state dental board regulations, and then you have your professional organizations that also issue periodic regulations. For purposes of today's conversation, if any one of these entities has made a statement or issued a regulation, then it passes muster, and so we'll go ahead and use that here. There's just so much information that's coming out right now that it is hard to keep track of everything, but most of it is common sense, and that's the good news. Okay, insurance reimbursement regulations. Now, this is where the ADA came in and said the virtual encounter must be that encounter must be the same standard of care as though you were in person. Now, this is the critical component here, and why a lot of platforms out there are now all of a sudden coming up with stuff to kind of make it happen, like, in the last 2 weeks, to make that a standard of care, so to speak, to an interactive session, but it's not happening. A lot of platforms are failing. And then you'll see kind of like how come Teledentistry.com has this data over the last 4 years where we're able to prove that it actually works and holds up to muster. So what kind of teledentistry will be covered is where that segues into. You have synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous is interactive and live video. You can bill for this service, and we have seen claims coming back as being paid. Asynchronous is when you kind of take a picture, you evaluate it, you call the patient back, and then you bill out for those D996 codes, whatnot, are all out there. We have not seen a single one get paid, okay, on these asynchronous type of consults. So just something to keep in mind when you're doing these consultations, that it has to be live video, okay? Patients' rights. This is always an eternal favorite one. We're talking here as part of an insurance brokers forum. So we want to make sure that we're holding out ourselves up in a way that we can help stave off the lawsuits and whatnot. So that's where a lot of these things, and note taking is where it starts to come in. Okay, so I'll go into that as well. The patient must know who they're talking to: name, licensure, any board certification or qualifications, okay? You must disclose the cost of the consultation prior to providing the service. If the patient chooses to use the service in person as opposed to over teleconference, then you must be okay they must be able to make that choice. And the last but not least is you cannot charge higher than the insurance maximum allowable rate or charge for that particular service if you're dealing with a patient on through an insurance contract. Okay, documentation. Now, this is normal, okay, in terms of the note-taking ability. You have to put in the regular notes that you would normally do, such as, the chief complaint, the signs, symptoms, what's going on with the patient and your observations. What's new is in your note, you must write down how much time you spent with the patient, the location of the patient, and the location of the doctor. Now, one thing that we've done is we've included staff time with the patient as part of our note. And so, the doctor may spend 3 or 4 minutes with a patient, but in all actuality, the staff will spend another additional 20 minutes or so. So that's something to keep in mind when you are, putting down your notes, okay? And be aware these notes will be audited by your insurance company. So you want to make sure that you're on the up and up. And of course, HIPAA. Right now, HIPAA has vanished. I mean, this is like the most incredible time of our lives, where HIPAA has said, go ahead and just help people, and not be concerned about privacy and whatnot. And so they're allowing, non-HIPAA compliant platforms to be used for telehealth and telemedicine and teledentistry. Some folks are using the non-HIPAA compliant and the inappropriate services, and that's your prerogative. My advice is use a HIPAA compliant platform now while you're slow, learn the ins and outs of it. And then when the HIPAA hammer comes back on after the COVID crisis is over, then you're fully prepared. And this is going to be kind of where doctors are going to be effectively using their downtime now to prepare and pivot for the future. CMS and ADA specifically outline Zoom for healthcare as being an appropriate for healthcare purposes for HIPAA compliance. Now these benefits, now something to keep in mind, we distilled this information over 4 years of data after implementing our platform in multiple practices, and we were able to realize how much more effective a practice becomes when you deploy telehealth, Teledentistry.com services into a practice, okay? You are increasing access to care for the patients. In the age of convenience, which is what we are in right now, this is the hour for that, you know? The implementation cost is zero practically, okay? You're much more efficient in terms of your time efficiency, both in terms of talking to your patient as well as in your practice. Of course, it's COVID appropriate right now. And now with the fact that you can actually bill for these services, there is a revenue generation component to this as well. And nobody's saying that you should replace, teledentistry is not going to replace your in-office visits. Okay, you still have to, you know, get the patient numb and pull the tooth or whatnot. But this is an adjunct to your practice and an additional way in which patients can reach out to you. Privacy protection and HIPAA, of course, we covered that already. It's very important when entering the virtual realm now, okay? And now that we're billing for these types of services and expecting payment, you can also expect denials. And so we've already experienced this. And so we have methods by which we can help stave off these denials and appeal and then still get paid. And so that's part of our platform as well. So here's where, you know, our data is basically all pre-COVID, by the way. You know, like nobody would have ever expected a COVID world. But for 4 years, you know, in the hundreds of practices that we deployed our software, we were able to kind of like anonymize it and then pull all the information and then discover some of the things and then kind of like clean it up and then have it ready for a post-COVID world as well. So that's kind of where we're going to talk about some of these applications. Why is that important? Why is it important for us to kind of like say, okay, where is teledentistry going to take our practice? And what are our practice valuations going to be like after we're all done with this? And so, you know, Kane Waters and Associates is a CPA firm, and they made this quote. And I was listening to a webinar that they were hosting, and they themselves were like, hey, look, when we reopen, it's not going to be the same as before. Patients are going to be different. Dentists themselves are going to be kind of different in terms of how they interact with patients. OSHA is going to be different. And so now all that being said, when we reopen, sure, we'll get that initial rush of patients who are going to have emergencies and absolutely have to have that tooth pulled or whatnot now. But don't forget, everybody's lost their job or they've been laid off or whatnot. Benefits are gone. They don't have disposable income for the high-end dental procedures anymore. Okay, so it's going to be a while, you know, before people come back to for those kinds of procedures that are higher dollar value type of things, and then your practices in turn return to full speed. So this is kind of where we discovered the best utilization for for our platform in a post-COVID, and of course this is all based on pre-COVID data. When a patient first calls in, that initial call interception is where you capture them now. Traditional scenario, you do marketing, you do Google, you do whatever you do, patient calls the office, front desk administrator answers the phone, and then says, okay, they take down the information, and then you schedule the appointment. You know, say about the next day or 2 days out. Then you put the patient in the column in the schedule, and then doctor's ready, you staff the office with assistants, front desk, all that stuff, all that overhead, and then the patient no-shows. You know, and this is like the most frustrating thing in the world for me, you know, in our practices, because we're like, okay, I blew all this money on overheads and staff, and then now you know, the patient just no-showed. I mean, this is like ridiculous. Forget about the marketing dollars. Now, with the fact that you can bill for these services, as soon as that patient calls in, you provide a teledentistry consult then and there. Now you can bill for that service. And then you've established that connection with the patient, and now you then schedule them accordingly, and then you can, you know, be better educated about what their needs are. And so this is where the revenue generation potential of this entire system comes in to full force. Okay, that's just the initial call. After-hour patient management, similar way of looking at it. If your practice is closed and you have an after-hour service, you can then use your teledentistry system to then handle the patient's needs, do an e-prescription and handle their pain or prescribe an antibiotic, and then therefore you're able to maintain a better relationship with the patient. Schedule optimization is during the day. I'll go to that slide here, okay? So this is what I just discussed regarding the initial call appointment, after hours patient management, okay? And then schedule optimization. All right, so what we do in our practices is we have a separate column just for video consults. And as we're going through the day, okay, we will do these video consults, and that actually improves the practice efficiency, because now you're not having to have the patient come into the practice if it's a simple thing like a post-op appointment, for example, or just a check, you know, on what's going on. Our orthodontists use this all the time for their orthodontic retainer appointments and whatnot. Okay, the orthodontic team is strong on this one, and so they're separate speakers, and they can talk more about that. And especially if there's like a slow period during the day, then you also have the opportunity to then, as soon as a patient calls in, you're still generating revenue. You see, that's the thing about this. A lot of times people think like, oh, okay, I have to spend my time on this phone call. Yeah, why not? You know, you're going to get paid for it now, you know, and that's the whole point. Okay, what are the considerations for dentists? All right. Importantly, you must be licensed in the state where the patient is in order to render services for them. Okay, so if you're a California dentist and you happen to be licensed in Texas, or not, Texas is a bad example, they don't allow teledentistry right now. Let's say they went to Nebraska or someplace, okay? And your patient's over there, then you have to be licensed in that state. I think on the previous webinar, there's still, and this is part of the issue with things evolving so fast, we're waiting on guidance from different entities like the ADA, who state that if it's your own patient of record, then you can see them. But if it's a new patient, okay, then you have to be licensed in the state that they reside in. We can talk about that more in the Q&A. What are your responsibilities? Okay, your platform should allow the same information that you would expect to see in person that you would be then doing the teledentistry consult with. That means medical dental history, consents. You have to have the ability to prescribe medications, okay? You must be able to put in your notes. And then you should also be able to provide financing and other options, such as financial options for the patients, as credit card payments, all these different types of responsibilities that come with the practice, okay? If your platform cannot provide these kinds of these functions, it's only a piece of the puzzle. And then you're gonna be left stuck, you know, without having that ability to fully service that patient. And then you can be guaranteed that your patients will be like, okay, now what? It will always becomes the next question, you know? So you wanna be able to provide a wholesome experience for the patient when they come into your virtual environment. So how do you choose the right teledentistry provider? Okay, and obviously, you know, Teledentistry.com, we have our own platform, but for purposes of a genuine discussion, we did pull some other platforms out there, and we just did like a comparison, just to see kind of like, okay, what are they offering, you know, and you should do your own homework as well before choosing anybody, and then deploy accordingly, you know. And there literally is a universe of options out there. We just chose some of the ones that are advertising the most, okay? Make sure that they have a good track record, okay? That proven technology, and it can support both DSOs and private practices. And you have to have an after-hours appointment option. Otherwise, it really doesn't make any sense to have this feature and technology in your practice, okay? These are some of the other considerations that you want to have, okay? It should be a quick to deploy system. Most systems are. Some require additional equipment, which, you know, like $200-300 intraoral cameras to purchase along with them. That seems to be a bit cost prohibitive in today's environment. You can be, now if you're doing virtual consults, you can then do immediate revenue gen, and then of course reduce your overhead costs, as I discussed already, and then of course a flexible platform that works across different types of technologies, such as Androids and Apple phones and desktops and whatnot. Okay, we'll come back to this slide, okay? Here's kind of like what the provider should expect, the practice should expect, and the patient should expect, okay? The provider has to have these different pieces of the puzzle on their side. The the patient should need basically an instant access into the dentist. Okay, now, how is this done? It's a bit of a trick, but they get what they need when they need it, and that's the beauty of the system. Of course, you should be able to refer a patient to specialists, as well as provide after-hour services, and the practice for your to kind of complete the revenue system. Okay, you have to provide an ability for them to pay you through credit card, for you to be able to bill them for build the insurance for the service you provided, and then financing. I'll go into the financing one here in a minute. Okay, and here we go. All right. So we kind of looked at like different services out there, and they're all great. Don't get me wrong. Okay, there's just different features to each one. Okay, and what we kind of did was we said, okay, well, who has an app? SmileSnap has an app. We have an app, and a lot of the other ones don't have apps. That's because programming an app is incredibly difficult. Our app has been deployed not only in hundreds of practices, but also through Medicaid organizations across the country for ER diversion of dental emergencies. During this COVID crisis, you can imagine that's an even bigger issue. E-prescription is another big one. If I'm at home and I'm on my smartphone, I want to be able to prescribe a medication to my patient without having to call the pharmacy and sit on the phone for like an hour trying to get the information across. It has to be an e-prescription system. Image capture, everybody does image capture. So take a selfie or whatnot through your smartphone, then upload it into the system. Everybody does that. Payment options, that's credit card integration. That's an important one as well. Quite a few of the platforms do that. What we discovered through our experience with financing was when we are doing a consult, and let's say now, John Doe's on the other end, and he's got a tooth that's busted and he needs a root canal / crown or whatever. Not that we can tell all this over the phone through the video, but what we do is we tell the patient that you might need a root canal and a crown. Okay, and then we give them a quote for that. Let's say it's like $2,000, $3,000, whatever the case may be. Okay, and you can apply this for multiple other scenarios, of course. What would immediately go through the patient's mind is, and this every dentist on earth can attest to this, is how much is this going to cost me? And does my insurance cover this? And at that point, you typically have to walk the patient into your practice, have them fill out, the financing form. And by the way, don't forget all the steps before, like having them come into the practice and front staff, all that stuff. And then once they're finally at the front desk with your administrator, and then they get denied for a credit application. And it's like the most frustrating experience. Instead, now, right on the phone, we can do a soft pull, okay, of their credit, and then see if they're going to qualify for some of these more expensive procedures. This is going to be the way of the future because everybody's lost their job. They're going to want financing options. And if you're going to have somebody come in to the practice, potentially expose you and whoever else to, whatever virus is out there, only then to find out that they don't qualify for a certain type of procedure, okay? It cuts to the chase a lot faster by having this stuff all done on the smartphone right then and there. And that's something that's rather unique to our system, including the e-prescription system. All right, so now what are some of the other things that you want to kind of keep in mind when you are factoring in a platform for your practice, okay? Of course, it has to be cost effective, okay? That's number one. But a lot of other platforms out there have it depends on how many doctors you put into the system, for example. The more number of doctors you have, the higher the fee goes. Our preference is to have a system that has a flat monthly fee, okay, doesn't require any additional equipment. You can then provide after-hour services, and we can also, help you with the after hours if that's something that you require. You should be able to schedule these video consults. You don't want just people randomly requesting consultations, when you're out on vacation, whatnot. And of course, your live staff should be able to also integrate with the platform. Needless to say, we have to have a system that generates revenue right on the word go. So this is how our system stacks up from a cost standpoint, as well as other systems out there. What we found was there's a huge range in terms of like what people charge for a monthly fee, as well as setup fees for the software platforms. Now, folks, keep in mind, I myself am a dentist, okay, and I hate it when I get like one service and then there's like this never-ending trickle effect. Instead, if you just have like one flat fee and it's like, okay, I know what my costs are, I don't have to turn around and look at it again, right? And if there's some additional features I need to pay for, sure, okay, but I don't want to have to pay for every little thing, And so that's kind of what we kind of realized as we were going through when we were doing some of these comparisons. Also, the fact that the system has to be smartphone integrated, okay? If it is not smartphone integrated, you may as well just not have it, because every single patient out there has the intelligence to download an app now. Okay, everybody knows how to do this, the oldest to the youngest, okay? Everybody knows how to navigate apps. There's gonna be some learning curve, but not tremendous, okay? As people are getting more and more used to video conferencing technologies, you're gonna see this higher and higher acceptance of video conferencing systems, okay? And that's gonna be where, if you don't have that ability, you may as well just forget about it, okay? Okay, so practice management, at the very bottom, we have the practice management service or software integration. That's critical, okay? We are integrating with a number of practice management software systems as we speak, okay? We have a whole docket of them going on right now, okay? And Teledentix does integrate with some systems. RevenueWell does integrate already with some systems. So that is credit to them. And, but of course, the cost comparison is significant as well. So that's kind of where we kind of were looking at it and saying, okay, so if we were to, build a system that makes sense for our fellow dentists, then how would we like to see it done, And so here's how it works. So this is kind of what we determined in terms of a revenue generation of Triad, is how you're going to actually make money while doing these services. Because, we're doctors, we have gone through our time in terms of schooling and loans and all the effort that we've put in. There's nothing wrong in providing a service and then and also providing ourselves with a livelihood for this. We all know what we've gone through, and so we need to be able to make sure that the system is sustainable. Okay, so these three things that you see in front of you are exactly how you'll go about doing that with our system. And this was another thing that I kind of like wanted to highlight. How much time does this take? Because when we initially did it, each consult was remarkably fast. And so we were like, okay, so we did the consult in like maybe under 5 minutes. And that's on the doctor time, right? And our staff time, once they got used to the system and were kind of like, just like clicking through it, it was anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, usually less than 10 minutes, and it's something that we just realized suddenly that you could quickly get through the day by providing this as a quick service to your patients. They're thrilled with it because they got access to the doctor quickly, okay? And then there was a higher likelihood of them coming in to see you, and we have data on that as well. For the last 4 years, okay? That was a previous slide, but I'll just tell you right now. So our data shows, okay, over 4 years that 70% of the patients who utilized our Teledentistry.com service came in to see us within 90 days. And that's strong, Now, not only will they come in with that same rate of show, but we'll also be able to generate revenues on that initial consult as well. So I'm excited to see how we're going to be able to deploy the system across our network of offices.
Dr. V, a quick question on that. I apologize. So are these existing patients of record of your office, or are you advertising and soliciting new patients in this?
Both. And so you definitely want to use this for existing patients, and you definitely want to use this for new patients as well. The caveat for the new patient is you must have a medical and dental record. The medical and dental history and the patient record prior to providing the service. And that's something our system will allow for. So you got to have that record. And then just like if you were standard of care, if a patient walks into your practice and you don't have them fill out the new patient paperwork, bad on you, but you need to have that before you walk in and do the consult, you know? So continue. I guess so. All right.
Please. Sorry, I muted myself.
No, that's okay. No problem. So,
and sorry, someone asked how much you charge on average, but I don't want to get ahead of your presentation. I think you might get
that's
to that.
fine. I'll get into that as well. Yeah, sure. Okay. So we have why integrate your practice with Teledentistry.com today. You can contact your patients with minimal to no staff support. That's something that you can man the practice dashboard and still see patients. I know I've laid off all my staff. I know it sucks right now. We have a skeleton team right now. I suspect that'll be the case for a lot of dentists who are attending right now. So if you want to take your own calls and then handle teledentistry using our system, by all means, you can. Provide dental services and of course receive insurance compensation is another big one that you're able to do right away. And then you're financing the patients and you're reducing your costs. See, the thing is this. When you open your practice again, as you know, the CPA guy said on a quote earlier, it's not going to be the same, and we're going to have potentially less number of patients coming in the long term, which means less number of staff. You're going to have a lot more efficiency as we go forward. And we're going to have to be able to figure out how to handle this whole COVID nightmare. I mean, this is an aerosol driven kind of a virus. And just because everybody's going to open up the country, in the next couple of weeks, doesn't mean the virus is gone. And God knows we're going to go into the practice and do something good for a patient. And you bring it back home and then one of your family members is ill. It's a nightmare scenario for all of us. It's all there in the back of our minds. And so I don't know the answers to those things, but I certainly do know that if we can make our teams more efficient and be able to still keep our doors open so that we can help our patients using technology, that's the way to go. Okay, so how do you schedule this in your offices once you are, because of the very things I just talked about? I guess I kind of preempted the slide here. So you kind of create a separate column just for teledentistry. You transfer your routine appointments to the teledentistry column, okay? And then you save your regular columns for high value procedures in office, okay? And that's gonna be where this is going to be the paradigm shift in the way in which we provide here on out, no more like a list of post-op column, in our practices where 50% of them don't show anyways, and it's just eating up all your chair time. Instead, you just push them off onto a virtual column and your staff will handle them as they come in because there's a virtual waiting room. And then as and when they do come in, then you can do the consultation for the patient. And so that's how this will work, okay? All right, let's go ahead. Of course, remote triaging of new patients is what we've been discussing for quite some time. And of course, our system does allow for co-consultation with specialists who also can be brought into the video conference using the system in a HIPAA secure environment. Okay, so this goes to the question you had earlier, Jonathan, about existing patients. Okay, these are the different things you can do for those folks. And reimbursement of Teledentistry.com services. We have basically been given guidance by the ADA. It has to be interactive, okay, real time, okay, and that's when you're going to be able to bill for these services, okay, so just keep that in mind. This is something that we've seen kind of across the board. These are averages, okay, and maybe this will answer the question you were about to ask, Jonathan. So how much do people charge for this, and the limits oral evaluation is the code you want to charge, okay. The thing is, you build this code along with this code and it gets paid out, okay. If you bill it with the asynchronous, which is what a lot of platforms are out there claiming to be teledentistry, they're not, okay, it's just a text message and a photo or something, and then you build this, and you don't have the live video recording to back up your synchronous encounter, you're going to be in a lot of trouble with the insurance company, because while everybody's like trying to get through this COVID period right now, that's a humanitarian kind of a way forward. Don't forget, insurance companies are going to ask for audits are going to audit your claims. And if you don't have the record keeping and backup to prove that you did the consult, then you can be sure that they'll look at everything else you're doing as well, and then kind of see how your claims are looking, you know? So let's get to the next slide. There we go. So use the appropriate ADA codes. That's number one, okay? File insurance claim using the office as a remote provider location, and then have the record keeping in place so that way you can appeal for denied claims or survive audits, okay? Somehow we're going through here. Hold on a second, slide got messed up. Okay, there we go. Oh, pardon me. All right. So this is kind of something that we did in our own practices using some rough metrics, you know, and we did this across many years of data, and this is kind of how we built our schedules in order why that made sense for the practice. And these, keep in mind, we were not able to bill for these procedures prior to, okay? Are you guys still able to hear me over there? Jonathan, can you just confirm?
I can hear you perfectly. Yep, perfect.
Great.
The whole time.
Okay, so we jacked in some of these numbers here to showcase what our revenue would be like if we were billing for them, because prior to this you could not, right? So we did this, and we said if we had like about 10 post-op appointments per day, or 10 limited evaluations that we were able to bill for per day with our system, and we were only at 3 days a week, okay, at $50 a consult, okay, you're looking at $500 per day. I mean, that's pretty strong, you know, and that's just from doing like just regular teleconsults that take about 3 minutes a piece, you know, and by the way, you know, the other thing is, once you guys start doing this stuff, and whether it's our platform or somebody else's, is fine, but you'll start realizing how quick it is. And the risk is practically zero, you know? And this is something we were talking about with the previous attorney, you know, it's like, what is the risk over here, you know? So, okay, let's say, for example, now a patient comes into the practice and I don't know, he's got a huge abscess, right? Okay, he's sitting in my chair and I'm talking to him and I'm saying, hey, Johnny, you need to go, I need to pull this tooth out right now. And he goes, no, I can't do that right now because I got to go to work or whatever it is. Please give me an antibiotic and painkiller. I'm like, okay, Johnny, but you got to come back tomorrow, okay? Sure thing. Here's your antibiotic and painkiller. Patient, you know, is very thankful, walks out the door, and then never shows up again. And then something unfortunate happens and he loses the tooth anyways, or it causes additional infection later on down the road. Is that my fault? No, I told him to show up. He no-showed, right? So same thing, okay? If you're doing a consult for a patient using the teledentistry system, and you tell the patient, hey, Johnny, you need to come in and see me tomorrow. Okay, here's an antibiotic and painkiller. I'm gonna send via e-prescription to the pharmacy. Go pick it up, and then I'm scheduling you right now. And he still no shows. It's the exact same scenario, you know. So the risk is the same, zero in this case, you know. And you know, we're only doing procedures that we can do from a palliative palliative care point of view. Okay, so that's another important clarification, and we'll go into the reasons as to why some insurance companies are covering teledentistry and some are not after we're done with this here in a few moments. Okay, and I guess that about wraps it up. Okay, so plug for our company. If you want to set up with yourself with our system, you can go to our website, Teledentistry.com. Right on the front of it, it says Get Set Up ASAP. And then use the code COVID, and you will get the $50 off on the subscription fee. That's after we start billing for it, which is in July. From now until then, it's free. Okay, so no setup fees, no nothing. Try this. I'm a dentist too. You guys are dentists too. We're all in the same boat. That's the way I see it. And by all means, go ahead and have fun with it. Make some money on it. God knows we're all hurting. And if you guys hate it after that, then okay, cancel it, fine, you know. But my feeling is that honestly, you guys are going to be making a decent return on this, if not a very good return. And then you'll be able to keep the system and then keep your patients going. Okay, I'd like to play some videos. Let's go with maybe some Q&A really quick, and then we'll get to the videos. What do you think, Jonathan?
I think it sounds great. I appreciate it. And just so everyone knows, I do look for unbiased opinions. This is not a biased opinion for Dr. V. He's probably one of the better people to speak to this topic. We do have some Teledentistry.com information here. So I get no kickback or payment for this. I want to disclose to you guys, but it is a great platform from what I've seen. So if you want to cover some Q&A, and if you have a video to play, someone mentioned that Delta's paying for the D9996 fee, $14. Is that what you're saying?
I am a practitioner in Las Vegas, Nevada, so I'm not familiar with, I'm going to guess that's in California. So I don't know exactly what they're paying, but if you bill it in conjunction with your D0140, then that should be the code that gets paid out. So I'm not familiar with, every insurance company is going to pay out whatever they pay out, right? And they're going to look for different ways to reimburse. But the point is, if you have a system that's cost effective, and you're able to generate a return efficiently, I think that's where the real rub is, So that's going to be kind of like what you want to see, okay? Okay, I'm ready for the videos, okay? And let's see here. Are you able to see the screen?
Right now I see your splash screen with the questions and then the teledentistry contact information and the COVID promotion code.
All right, hold on one second, okay?
And there's about 16 questions in the Q&A while he's loading that up. So if you guys want to put that information in there, we can address those as well after the video.
Okay, so I'll just showcase this one right here. And just so you all know, okay, how I got to this screen, okay? So it's just Teledentistry.com, okay? And it's, just so everybody knows, we're going through a rebranding exercise, okay? So we're and Teledentistry, okay? So it's all the same thing. Just click on Get Set Up ASAP. It's free until June, and then you can sign up right here for a single location or more locations, and then the video is right here, okay? Just to kind of let you guys know where to put the coupon code in, that's important, okay? So I do want you guys to get the discount. It's right over here, have a coupon, okay? Just put in the word COVID, all right? And it'll take that off. All right, let me play the video so you guys can see what this looks like, okay? And then we'll get to the Q&A. Okay, so that's as far as the demo video is concerned, okay? And for those of you who want to see even more videos, I won't go through every single one of them. Just come to Dental Practice Resources, click on Tutorials, okay? And there is an ocean of videos here for you guys to check out. We won't go through every single one of them. Patient app guide, doctor app guide, how to upload images, everything is right here, okay? So with that, I will jump to our Q&As.
So do you want to read these off? You want me to read them to you? Kind of give you a chance to catch your breath a little bit?
No, it's okay. I got another sip of coffee when I was waiting over there. So hold on.
There we go.
Here. All right, there we go. All right, let's start from the top. Okay, can you give me the link to yesterday's? Oh, that's somebody else. Okay, hold on. All right.
So there's a separate Q&A screen. If you click the tab at the bottom, you see the chat.
Something else. Okay, I'm looking at the chat. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, you look at the chat.
Let me just...
Q&A has 21 questions in there.
There it is. Okay, awesome. Okay, here we go. What about North Carolina? Okay, so North Carolina, okay. I'm gonna assume, Naina, that your question is about, can we do teledentistry in North Carolina? There are only 2 states that do not allow teledentistry right now, and that is Texas and Maine. 2 states. So again, with no disrespect to them or the state boards, it's obvious why they disallowed teledentistry, and that is because of the proliferation of the what do you call it, DIY orthodontic type of stuff. Okay, I think that's going to be where licensed dentists are going to have to band together and then provide our licensed professional opinions to patients, and that's going to be kind of where a lot of these state boards are going to have to change the way in which they look at this, because there is a real need for this, you know, and I think that's going to be something that will evolve as we go forward, even with malpractice insurance companies covering this. You can talk to Jonathan. He knows. Yeah, I'll just tell you. I mean, my malpractice insurance carrier is Aspen American Insurance Company. They cover teledentistry consults. I'm sure Jonathan can provide you with additional resources on that as well, if you intend to deploy this in your practice. Okay. So Aid Galan, yes, I have heard of Patient Pop. I've heard of Weave. I've heard of Toothpick. They're all great. You know, just different types of systems. You can be, whoever is anonymous can give me more information about that. Please send in for, okay, so this is something I'll get later on. Thank you. Anonymous, does HIPAA require you to have a business associate agreement with the app provider for teledentistry? Is yes. How do you obtain this? The answer is yes. It is signed upon you signing up for the system. How would you handle and charge for a post-op or consultation new patient? You can bill to their insurance for the post-op as well as the consultation. You'd have to follow the guidelines of the insurance for how they would handle that. The ADA has provided guidance on what codes you can bill. You can then look at that on a case-by-case basis and then bill as you see fit. Patient called back for another appointment within a week, a month. Can we still bill for the service? Again, this is going to be something that falls within the guidelines for the insurance company and how many times they'll allow a code to be billed. So it's if somebody keeps on calling you and they've used up all their codes, then I would imagine you just charge them, right? So you just say, hey, make a payment on the thing and I'll be happy to talk to you. Does your platform provide all the other services such as patient communications, reviews, and recall reminders as provided by RevenueWells? No, we don't. Not right now, but that's something that we're working on. And so that's something that we're going to be doing. Wait, recording, you mean a SOAP input and picture? I don't understand that one, okay. Auto record the service, yes, you can keep these recordings in eternity, okay. Just download them onto your computer. Could you please show a template of a schedule with TD incorporated? It's there. Send me an email after the thing and I'll send it to you. How many insurance companies' plans actually cover teledentistry D995 at this point? Go to our website, Teledentistry.com /ADA, and the ADA has provided guidance on exactly what insurance companies are doing that. How do you collect on new patients? Again, I think that's been answered before. If my company has 2 offices, I would need to get 2 TD contracts. Yes, any deal. Yes, use the COVID code and just put it in twice. Okay, and then we'll figure it out on the back end for you guys in order to combine the billing. How are patient videos stored? They're in the cloud, and then once they are stored in the cloud, you can always download them onto a local server for your own needs. As soon as our front office set up a patient for appointment to talk to doctor, you can only bill after the doctor speaks to the patient, okay? The hygienist speaks to the patient for like a perio issue, can be billed 2 codes with teledentistry. I would say you probably want to have right now only the doctor encounter be billable, okay? I don't think, and again, nothing with the hygienist, I'm just not sure, to be honest, on that one, okay? Does the insurance pay for D0140? Yes. Is it limited frequency? I would imagine yes. Oh, what's going on here? And all right. Do you inform patient about billing to insurance? Yes. Okay. What is considered HIPAA compliant in teledentistry? What are the requirements? You must have a HIPAA compliant system. There's a long laundry list, Vilas, so just send me an email. I'll put my email over here in the bottom. You guys are welcome to send me your questions right there. Okay. Yes, you can send a photo, send a video. Yes, it probably does in terms of taking away the patient exams. Okay. What is your impression of docs you meet? I think they're nice guys. Do you have a Spanish version for Spanish speaking patients? We are building it. Do we do this from office computer, home computer, or our smartphone? The answer is all three, your choice. More on charting for TD. I think we kind of covered that, so that's cool. How can you market teledentistry on your website? Other suggestions? We do have a marketing platform we'll be sharing with people who sign up with our service. What if they don't have insurance? Charge them cash. How hygienists will be able to utilize? Don't know. And let's see here. I'm just kind of going through this. Hopefully I get through everything. What about many emergency phone calls and giving RX move flows? Okay, I don't know. How does a patient have to have smartphone ability? Okay, so yes, they have to have a smartphone. Yes, they have to have the ability to download the app, and that is the way it goes. Okay, so practically everybody has a smartphone right now. Okay, so I think that's something that you can expect your patients to have and be able to use the service. So that's it's a bit like saying, okay, how does my patient get to me if they don't have a car, right? So they have to figure it out and somehow get to your practice. And same thing goes with this in terms of virtual. Okay, so let me send my all panelists and attendees. I'm going to repeat my email here at the bottom, and by all means, please send me an email. Okay, Anisha Kahai, what is the presenter's email? That answers your email right there. And let's see. Oh, there's even more questions. Okay, so sorry. All right. Do you provide malpractice insurance with the app? No, we don't. That is your own malpractice. We are purely a software platform. E-prescribing is a function of the platform. Is it easy to set up prescriber information? The answer is yes and yes. Okay. There is an additional payment you have to make in order to activate the e-prescription system. Okay, does a consult count towards patient's frequency? Already answered. Okay, great. So I think with that, we've answered most of the Q&A, okay? And we still have about 7 minutes left until we get to 12 o'clock, so I'm happy to answer more questions as they come in. Okay, and what about cash patients? Nilima, the answer is yes, you can charge a patient directly on the system for a cash consult, okay? So Jonathan, any insights or anything from you on those questions? Any additional stuff?
Nothing really. I just want to ask you the question. Does your patient population start to lean on this more now that you've introduced this? In other words, do you have a lot of people that are not coming to the office as much and utilizing this platform, or a percentage of your patient population that's really utilizing this?
Absolutely. What we found is those people who were in the age band, I'll say about 17 years of age, okay, basically teenagers, okay, who are now kind of like, and they were, 4 years ago, they were 17, they have completely switched to this system within our practice. And so that is incredible if you think about it, because as we go forward in time, you're going to see more and more people switching to this type of a service in order to access care. Let it be, and access you as a dentist. Let's not forget, they want access to the dentist. That's what they want, and however shape or form that you provide that in an easy to perform method, that's the way it goes. So I hope that helps answer that question.
It does. It's interesting because to me it correlates to a more interactive experience with my dentist instead of just periodic visits or oh something's happening, I need to go see my doctor. I can have a discourse with them on a continual basis and feel more attached to you and your practice.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely, and especially for those private practices that see not a. And there was a question there was a conversation you and I were having earlier about solo practices versus DSO practices and how the future is going to be. Solo practices I think are going to have a renaissance here. Because people are going to be, and this, I have DSO clients. Don't get me wrong. We work with everybody. Ours is a technology platform, but the point is, patients, ultimately, whether they are going to a DSO or a solo practice, they still want interaction with the doctor. That's what they want, you know? And by breaking down those barriers, you'll have a much better experience with your patient, and then also you would then, and then them with you, you know? So we have another question here on the chat. How long will the videos be available? Eternity, Lata. So you can keep them as long as you want, okay? So put them on your, they'll be stored initially on the cloud. You have a certain amount of data that you can keep there, and then after that, just download them onto your own, hard drive or whatever somewhere, and then you can keep them and then ready to go for auditing. Our system will link the recording to the patient in the dashboard. Okay, so that way you can view it later on. It's tied to that patient, so that way you don't have to go looking through a million recordings down the road. So there you go. All right, let's see if there's any more Q&A. Mm-hmm.
And Dr. V, I'll tell you that most of my Instagram friends are dentists, and I'm seeing a lot of Instagrams pop up with them advertising teledentistry, especially right now during this COVID crisis. Mm-hmm. So as far as advertising this platform for the average dentist out there, what do you suggest? What's the best way to get the word out, not for just existing patients, but new patients? Like, I can see you via teledentistry.
Yeah, I think people are now, if you were to rewind just maybe about 3 months ago, right? If you said the word teledentistry, people would look at you kind of cross-eyed, right? But now everybody suddenly understands that it's a requirement, you know? And so patients are understanding of the fact that there is a Teledentistry.com service. If you offer that service within your practice, then there you go, you know? And then you're able to accomplish the interaction with that patient. It's not alien anymore. People don't question, oh, my doctor's going to see me virtually. You know, it's understood now, and it's becoming the norm, you know. So we have a couple more questions here. Is my malpractice insurance enough? It can never be enough, my dear Abdel Rahim. So we'll leave that one we'll leave that one as an open question there. Do you integrate with Datacon? If not, then how would a dentist use a practice management system that you don't integrate with? Fantastic question. You can use this as a standalone, side-by-side kind of a platform. There will be double entry of information until we integrate with these practice management software systems. Right now, we are working with Curve Dental, Dentrix, a whole bunch of them, you know what I mean? And so there's a lot of different platforms that we are integrating with. And so once that happens, I think the acceptance will be even higher. But for now, you have free access to the system. Like I said, go ahead and sign up, and then use the system, you know, have fun with it and make some money. And then if everything is going well, then stick with it. In that much time, hopefully we'll have integrated with whatever system that you have that's available. I am registered and use Clinician in EagleSoft for ERX. Can I use the same for the ERX portion? No. We have our own electronic prescription system that you must use within our app, but then we will be integrating with EagleSoft. So whatever prescriptions you do in our app will then be recorded in your EagleSoft. So that'll be the way that works. Well, okay. What if the patient has no insurance? Then charge them cash as usual, but provides incorrect info, such as location, which the state does not have license in. Okay, I'm not understanding this one, Tiffany, but if the patient misrepresents, information, then they misrepresent. They could say that they don't have diabetes or something, and they end up having a diabetes. Is that your fault? No, they have to tell you what they have to tell you, and it's all recorded, of course. To clarify my question, is the TD their first appointment for consult, then get them in for comprehensive exams as they will need x-rays? And if you're not able to diagnose anything for TD because need to get them in, do you still charge a TD appointment? You are never able to diagnose anything on teledentistry, nor are you ever able to diagnose anything using a limited oral evaluation code. It is only when you do a comprehensive evaluation that you are able to diagnose things. So just to be clear on the coding there, okay? So Maricel Ortiz Luis, that's gonna be the way you do this. And I think your point is correct. you do an evaluation. It's a limited evaluation. You're not diagnosing using Teledentistry.com systems, okay? Does your platform have a timer? The answer is yes, because you're recording it. Does it integrate with EagleSoft/Patterson? Not yet. Do you integrate with Open Dental? Not yet. We're working on it. Do you integrate with Dentrix Ascend? Yes, we are working on that as well. So all the integrations up there, all these are very commonly used practice management software systems. We're integrating with them all. So that's coming down the pipeline. And there you go. Okay, so at 12:01 right now, so it's about an hour. Jonathan, I'll leave it in your court as to when to close it out, you know?
Awesome. So just so you guys know, Dr. V was introduced when we had a call with Justin Morgan last week. Justin Morgan is an attorney who's done some due diligence on this. If you guys want more information on the legal aspects of teledentistry, please go ahead and send me an email. I have a recording of that, a podcast recording of Justin's presentation where Dr. V actually makes a cameo there as well. I think we're good for now. Dr. V, if you could put your splash page up with your contact information up there for the last minute or so. So, you know, we are just about 12 o'clock. I do appreciate the time of first of all the attendees, and Dr. V, on behalf of all the attendees, I appreciate your time and taking the time to come on and talk with us. You definitely have some information for your platform. You're going to put your screen share up there. So my
one of these
name
here. There it is. Okay.
So what I want to do is I want to extend the next 30 seconds for you to kind of wrap up, say goodbye, solicit some contact with you, and then I'm going to say goodbye and we'll wrap this call up.
Yeah, certainly. So basically, you know, the bottom line is, you know, folks, take advantage of this time right now to learn, okay? And it's hard, you know, I'm not saying that what we're going through is easy by any means, you know, and the point though is that you want to spend this time wisely and start pivoting for the future, you know. It's really a difficult time right now for everybody. I mean, like, my own practices are shut down. I'm sure your guys' are as well. Nobody in their wildest dreams would imagine a day like this, you know? So this is a solution that we have come up with years ago, not in preparation for a situation like this. And that's really why we're offering it for free. We're hoping that by June 30th, you know, this whole thing is behind us, and we're able to, you know, prepare for the future, so to speak, you know. And my heart goes out to every single one of you. It really does, you know. I mean, we've all gone through what we've had to go through to get through dental school, you know. You know, those loans alone will be enough to kill you. Forget about coronavirus. You know? So that's the thing. And here we are now, you know. So take care, okay, everybody, and stay safe, and learn something new, and hopefully they'll prepare us for the future. Okay. All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. V. Thank you for your time on behalf of everyone here. For the attendees, these are being reviewed by a third party for CE credits. As soon as they give me the green light, I can send out the CE link to you. Unfortunately, I can't bear that cost myself, but the CE third party CE company is doing it at cost to give you CE. I think it's $10 per certificate. So if you want CE for this, email me and I'll connect you with them. Appreciate your time, Dr. V. Can't appreciate enough having you on here. Great information. If you guys have any further questions, please contact myself or Dr. V. With that being said, we're going to go and wrap it up. And as he related, and I'll say again, you know, take this time to learn. I hope you're enjoying these calls and this information. And again, be safe. Take care of yourself. Enjoy this time with your family. And hopefully we'll all get through this together and get back to a normalcy, or maybe a new normalcy after this is all.
New normal.
So, yeah, the new normal. So, Dr. V, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being on the call today, sir. And we'll talk to everyone soon. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the call now. Thank you.
Bye-bye.